Shock-proof your finances. That's what this article is about. Here are 10 tips on how to prepare financially for a calamity so you won't have to make life-altering decisions when you're emotionally vulnerable. So look, I like the title and the subtitle. Let's check out these 10 tips from this Next Avenue article by Lucy. This is on money and policy. It says the unexpected death of a partner, a sudden layoff from a long-time job, a serious illness or accident. These life events can throw your finances in disarray as you cope with a big decline in income. Routine monthly bills, including auto loans and mortgages, may be difficult to pay, and you may struggle to pay your tax bills. So this is why it's really critical to understand, first and foremost, whatever your methods are and models of finance make a big difference on how you get to your objectives. And a lot of the models and methods are very risky, not taking into account that we're all in store for financial surprises. We're all going to have financial surprises. It's just that 90+% of the time, we can address those beforehand. It's just often not like on our minds to be proactive about this. So let's look at what some of the factors are that they say here, and I'll start to help navigate and give additional insights and tools to help you out in case something comes your way that was unexpected. So let's look at the 10 tips. It says, get serious about your budget. So first off, I'm not a budgeting guy. Budgeting is about constraining and restraining. It's about reduction, and nobody shrinks their way to wealth. So I'm about mindful cash management. I'm about value-based spending. What this article says is dig into the details of your cash flow so you have a clear picture of your state of finances. I agree as far as getting the details, right? It's the first step to bouncing back after a financial shock. Well, I don't know about that. Like, if you should be doing that ahead of time and start automating your system. So you start building what I would call a peace of mind fund that's 6 months minimum of savings. And a lot of people don't even have a few days, unfortunately. So how do we get there? We get there by being more efficient with our money, making sure you're not overpaying the government and getting a refund, making sure that you've structured the right interest rates because you have the right credit score, and a better credit score can get a better interest rate, or the right cash flow reporting, what's related to this, which then means that it's easier to get better loans, right? It could be having the right collateral. Having a car loan versus a credit card would be completely different interest rates, and one impacts your credit a lot more favorably with a car loan versus a credit card. And then just the right connections. Certain institutions and certain banks are better at certain types of loans. And so where you get your car loan from or your mortgage or your credit cards can really matter. So in this article, there's a chartered financial analyst that says, I don't think you should underestimate the feeling of empowerment that can come simply from being in control of your cash flow. I agree with that. This starts with a detailed assessment of non-discretionary costs: housing, insurance, groceries, transportation, income. So I call this the 4 types of expenses. Number 1, you've got to look at your money and say, is there any destructive expense? Something I'm paying for, am I not getting anything back for? Is there loans that I borrow to consume? And we should really try to eliminate destructive expenses first, whether that's just simply turning those off or whether that's paying those off because there's a loan associated with it. Second is lifestyle expenses. Lifestyle expenses could be anything from, utilities and food and housing, like we talk about here. It's like a lot of what's listed there: groceries, transportation. Insurance would be in the next category, but it's about paying cash for those rather than borrowing. And I want you to not think of expenses as something negative, but your expense is someone else's income. And you probably don't think of your income as negative unless it's not as much as you want. So expenses aren't bad. It's just about managing them properly. So we want to eliminate destructive expenses. We want to manage lifestyle expenses. And then we want to address protective expenses. That's your insurances. That's your peace of mind fund. That's everything from asset protection if you've got some degree of wealth, and trusts and those types of things, and the corporate entities that you set up if you're a corporation. So making sure you have your protective expenses addressed, because if you don't, you might be one surprise away from having to start over, or having a bunch of your wealth confiscated, or not being prepared for that surprise. And then the fourth one is a really important one to understand, and this is what budgeting is often at odds with. It's a productive expense. You put $1 in, more than $1 comes out. We want to increase those, which is investing maybe in yourself, in cash flow assets, in your, in your basically like your financial literacy, in marketing and sales and communication skills. It's like, what allows you to add more value in the marketplace to make more money? So in this article, it says get these, get your budget under control, and it'll give you breathing room to build. Then you can look around and identify work skills that can be updated, networking opportunities, make a plan for saving and investing in the future. Like you've got to have this like mindful cash management where you just pay yourself first, automate that savings into a separate account, and then live off the rest. And then budgeting's not required unless you're a train wreck and you're spending more than what you have. It's the automation and pay yourself first and live on what's left over. Says 2, attend to your mental emotional health. I agree with that. Financial shocks can have a negative impact on you more than your wallet. Take time to take care of your health as you rebound for the next step. A huge priority, in my opinion, is to focus on mental and physical wellness. Get enough sleep, drink enough water, connecting with friends, reconnecting with nature or spiritual practice. That's the foundation for resilience. Man, I just think that's really good advice overall right there. I mean, there's nothing like getting a little bit of sun, doing a little bit of movement and stretching, getting sleep, and definitely being around people that inspire you or uplift you or support you, and then nature and spiritual practice. Man, that's just really good, and I highly recommend all of that. So number 3, tap into an emergency fund. I don't believe really like in the title emergency fund because it makes us think we have to have an emergency in order to tap into that money. I believe in a peace of mind fund. Might be similar in structure, but different in mentality. And our mindset impacts our stress levels and how we view money. So this peace of mind fund is, having cash that's readily available, like it says, should you suffer a financial shock, that can go a long way in protecting your bottom line. Yes, have at least 6 months, right? It says have months rather than weeks to plan your financial career and steps. Agreed. So use emergency savings if you have it in the wake of a financial shock. When you are back on your feet, you can replenish this important fund. Build an emergency fund that's big enough to carry you through at least 6 to 12 months looking for a new job. 6 months, I agree, is the minimum. Sometimes it's hard to get to 12 months, but if you can be more efficient with your money, if you download my quick tips guide, which are 8 tips of how to put more money in your pocket within the next 30 days, that can kind of help you get started if you're not quite there, you're living paycheck to paycheck or spending more than you make. But again, that's good advice that they're giving here. Number 4, focus on finances. Increasing your household income should be a top priority after a job loss. Like, is there a way that maybe that career wasn't the right career or that job wasn't the right job? So maybe this could be an opportunity to design the life that you love, to create the career that you want. And part of it, people tell themselves stories. Well, there isn't a job like that. Well, I became an entrepreneur because that was the case. And maybe entrepreneurship's not for everyone or not for you, but is there a job where you could be an entrepreneur, where you have upside potential when you impact the bottom line, where the culture is a culture that's one that cultivates the best that you are, where it's a challenging in a positive way, place that you want to be. So this isn't always necessarily bad news. Sometimes the biggest gifts come in painful wrapping, and then we have to get to the other side of it in a different perspective to see it. So in this article, it says, if a layoff does occur, the number one focus should be to replace your income, says Brian, a financial planner. Having an updated resume with in-demand skills will help shorten the unemployment period. Well, how can you be good at getting, at interviewing? Where can you find the right types of jobs? Like, is there something that you could create? Is there partnerships that would work for you? Like, start thinking outside the box about what do you really want and how do you want to do that? And the clearer you get, the more you're going to know what to eliminate and not waste time on and what you're looking for. It's like, it reminded me of my wife and I wanted to buy this cabin. We're like, what is everything that we want? And we got so specific. So when they brought us things that weren't as specific as we're looking for, we're like, no, that's not it. This is what we're looking for. They knew what to look for and they found it. A lot of times we don't know what we want. We only know what we don't want. So get clear about what you do want. What is a career that's fulfilling? What aligns with your purpose? Like, take this time to generally have that reflection and then create the intention and attention to the specificity that will really get you what you want. So it says, reduce your spending as much as possible. Yeah, there's a time it makes sense like this to really reduce spending and cut back on unnecessary expenses and take the time that maybe you're going out to do those things to really focus on investing in yourself and taking time each morning to think about what you want and to journal and to really dial in what you want your life to look like. And it says, widen your job search is number 5. Okay, so we kind of cover that. Keep your health care coverage. Make room in your budget to maintain health care coverage when you're job searching. You can stay on your old company's plan for 18 months. Short-term health plans, okay, that's decent. So, and then it says, shock-proof your estate for your heirs. Do proper estate planning. It'll make it easier for your family to gain access to your accounts. This is good beforehand, not really the best situation when something shocking has happened. So we're talking about wills and trusts and medical directives are the main thing. This could also include asset protection and having asset protection trusts if you're wealthy enough. But basic wills, might say, Okay, that's a backstop if you have a trust. You put everything in your trust, it could be revocable where it's all transparent. You can put it in, you can take it back out, but after you die, now it can help you pass more tax-free. It could create liability protection and create a set of instructions of how things are going to work so it just doesn't land in probate and all of a sudden the courts are deciding what happens to all your estate and that becomes public knowledge. So I think it's great, and you can pass on twice as much tax-free, and if you start early enough and you get really wealthy, it can really avoid all types of estate taxes by proper planning. So in this article, it says it's important to have both you and your partner's estate in order. This means having proper beneficiaries, and investment accounts, and real estate and other assets. If the unexpected happens, financial accounts are easy. Yeah, that's all pretty good basic. It's not really going to make this huge difference if it's just change a career. But obviously, this makes a big difference if you do this beforehand. If it's life-threatening disease or something like that. Insure your valuables and property. Protect your home from dangers of natural disasters with insurance coverage. So this is saying prevent in case something shocking happens. So part of this could be having the higher deductibles if you have enough money in savings, and then take that and get higher limits of liability or an umbrella policy. So you're getting more bang for your buck. The most expensive dollar of insurance is the first dollar that we pay for. The least expensive is the last dollar because it's the least likely to get tapped into, but if it is tapped into, is the most catastrophic. So get your policies coordinated. Same company with car, home, liability might lower premiums. Raising deductibles could lower premiums. Only make claims for something that you can't write a check for and go to bed at night and still feel okay about. So you're insuring the things that are more catastrophic. Designing those things properly can make a big difference and really put yourself in a situation of if this were to happen, how much coverage do I want to have? I think everybody wants as much coverage as possible if they didn't have to pay for it. When we have to pay for it, then we start getting really mindful. But think about the price is what we pay, the cost is the economic impact, and the value is the feeling of satisfaction and value that we get from it, right? So you might want to say, how do I transfer? So if anything that's unexpected happens that's catastrophic, I'm not starting over. It's not confiscating part of my income or my unprotected assets. And then number 10, it says prepare for a layoff. It says job layoff could happen to you. As I guess if you're not an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you might have cash flow, crunches as most do, and multiple times through their career. So it says, don't just think a layoff could never happen to me. A better approach is always keep your skills up to date. Yeah, I mean, what I would say is always invest in yourself. How can you add more value to the world? How do you serve more people? How do you make a greater impact? So if you really invest in those skills, are the things that you want to be great with. It could be communication, it could be marketing, it could be sales, it could be a combination of all three. It could be your financial literacy. It could be a number of project management. Find an area that you have that interest and ability, and then really dive in to always look at education as a way of life, not just as something we get from school. And that way, you're going to be even more valuable and even more, irreplaceable. But maybe the company goes under and you have to look for another place, but now you've got what it takes. Invest in yourself, learn to make more money, then keep more of what you make, automate your savings, build efficiency so you can plug your financial leaks and keep more of what you make to help boost those savings. Having those savings gives you more options in case it's just you choose a different career and you're not happy with the work that you're doing and you're not waiting for being fired or a layoff or the company going under, but you're saying you deserve the career that you want. You deserve to live the purpose that you want, and you invest continually in yourself. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're enjoying these videos, well, there's good news. More where that came from, so go ahead and click through and watch the next video now.